And Cousins throws. It's caught for the touchdown by Jefferson. Team gritty on Thanksgiving. Why not? It's a fake, and Cousins flips it to Hawkinson. Touchdown, Minnesota. Cousins looking. Jefferson was covered. Other side, Thielen. Touchdown, Minnesota. Back on top.
Vikings Game Day Live is presented by Luther Auto and Mystic Lake.
Right side three. 1, 2, 3. 20-15-10. Touchdown!
You're watching Vikings Game Day Live.
We've seen you with the chains. We've seen you shirtless. What are you going to do? How are you going to top that tonight?
Well, he's got grills. That's probably the next step. I need to go get some custom grills. I got to call my dentist. I don't know if my dentist back in Holland, Michigan gets a lot of requests for grills, but I need to call him.
I think that would be a first if that's the case for Kirk Cousins. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Vikings Game Day Live. We are live from the Fox 9 studios this morning, of course, as the Vikings are enjoying a well-deserved holiday weekend off in the wake of their heart-stopping 33-26 win over the New England Patriots on Thanksgiving night in front of that ear-piercing crowd at U.S. Bank Stadium. Wow, 9-2. Mark Rose in the studio along with Don Mitchell and Ron Johnson. Pete Bursich is over by the monitor. We'll catch and talk with him and break down some of the big plays as well. But before guys, we start chatting about the game. We just heard from Kirk. We'll talk more about his grill in a little bit. But let's first hear from head coach Kevin O'Connell, quarterback Kirk Cousins, and all-world wide receiver Justin Jefferson after that incredible win over the Patriots.
What an unbelievable atmosphere tonight. 4 days after being here, with a pretty dejected feeling, and asking our team to respond and our coaches to respond and show up tonight on a mission to try to play a really good football team and try to get a win. And I could not be more proud of my football team and our staff and all that goes into it.
They really kept us in it, and then we had a lot of long drives and sustained drives, and found a way to get more explosive today, which I think was important, to get more explosive plays. It was a bit of a challenge throughout the game to be aware of how much they were trying to, really take Justin out of the game, and then how much they were still going to give us opportunities to get him the football.
I love it. These are the type of games that I love the most. Thursday nights, prime time, the whole world is watching you. No better time to go off.
Oh, and that he did. Mark Rosen back with Don and Ron. And let's talk about just the effect of, after that 40-3 drubbing at the hands of Dallas, Don, and you play 4 days later, and people are going, God, what kind of team do we have here now with the Vikings? Are they real? Are they pretenders or contenders, even though they're still 8-2? How many questions in your mind did they answer with that performance on Thursday night?
They answered a lot, and I think they answered them for themselves too, right? Because they're saying, hey, we don't really care what the outside says, we care what we think. But they came back, they got back to their game, and they got JJ again. He had 3 receptions for 33 yards in the loss beforehand. So and what I love about this team is they're not going after a loss and getting drubbed by their coach. They say, okay, listen, that wasn't us. Maybe it's better that's 40-3, right? Where you're just like, they were scratching their heads. They were shocked, like everything they did wrong, and they got away from the game plan. They got back to who they are. And I think whenever they're in close games, like they were against the Patriots, they have that experience. So you get JJ going, and then you get some special teams help. You get Kene going. I think finally the defense got going.
Finally.
But I was surprised, and I was glad they got back on track.
Ron Johnson, Justin Jefferson, he put himself in the MVP conversation. 9 catches, 139 yards, many of them very, very difficult, like this one.
Yeah, and that's just what it is the play. Kirk had Adam Thielen at the bottom, but he said, I'm going to Justin Jefferson. I think the biggest thing for this is Justin Jefferson had a game like this against the Lions, 3 catches, turned around against the Saints, 10. Same thing. Dallas Cowboys, 3 catches, turned around 939. And it's more of Kevin O'Connell realizing he has to go to Justin Jefferson. He has to find ways to get it going. And Justin said it. We don't have enough 6-man protection. We don't have enough quick game. We're starting off going to 5-step drops with a play action, and we haven't even run the ball. So I think Kevin O'Connell, we forget, even though they're 9-2, this guy's still a rookie. Still his first year as a head coach. Still his first year as a play caller. Sean McVay did all from it with the Rams. So he's learning every single chance chance he gets to call plays of what he should be doing. And I think this is just another step in it. He understood, you know what? I do have to run 3-step drop if I see it. I love the fact that I saw Kirk Cousins pop up. DB was about 8 yards off. He just ran a smoke route, just threw it out there. And so that's what you have to do. If they're going to give you space, you got to give it to your playmakers early. Don't even worry about the play.
And Pete Burcich over by the board, you're matching wits at this point with Bill Belichick, who Kevin O'Connell was part of that organization briefly. That must still be an intimidating situation, though you're concentrating at your task at hand, to face a guy like Belichick, knowing he's pulling out all the stops, as he did, to almost pull that game off.
Yeah, they did it on a short week, so you know you're not going to get anything revolutionary because you just don't have the time to install it. So you can, I think, expect a lot of what you saw maybe the week before. But the offense was very, very consistent. That was the big difference between the Dallas game and this game. They played well against a very, very solid defense. A defense that really didn't have a ton of weaknesses. I mean, they were top 10 in almost every category before they came into this game. Granted, they haven't faced a top offense, I think, like ours. So he took them a little bit by surprise there. But a very efficient game, very good game plan, well called. I mean, offensively, other than maybe the yards per attempt, they were still enough that New England had to respect our play-action passing game, play-action run game. But overall, just a very, very, I think, good performance and very solid. Got everybody involved. It's good to see T.J. Hockenson get his first touchdown reception. So, it was a well-put-together game offensively on a short week.
We'll get back to the defense and what they have to do to shore things up in a little bit. But, Don, back to Kirk Cousins, 30 out of 37, 299 yards, the 3 touchdowns, prime-time Kirk. And Kevin gave him one of the game balls initially right after the game, and he mentioned that as well. Is that something you think has always been weighing on him, at least from the perception of that you just can't win the primetime games against teams with winning records?
Yeah, especially against winning records, right? Because we've seen him now come around and win in primetime. I just think, and he kind of gave a tell into his soul, if you will, after the game, where he said, hey, Kevin has let me have command of this offense. He's really given me the reins. My teammates have my back. It almost brings me to tears how they have my back. So this is a different Kirk Cousins. He's playing with the support of his team, and he's just throwing bullets. And then you can see that even that play at the end to Adam Thielen, where he said, we were looking for the look. And finally, even he and KO were like, KO said in my ear, we got the look, go do it. And you just see Kirk Cousins on fire in that moment, and then Adam comes down with it. So I never thought I would hear the words out of anyone's mouth going, we've seen you with chains, we've seen you with your shirt off, what's next?
Well, Kirk was saying, and we were both at that news conference after the game, he was reacting to that shot of that kid on the scoreboard who was shirtless with the chain. Kirk, and they were laughing about it in the huddle and making an impact. It kept them pretty loose, Ron. Yeah. Special teams had a big role in it as well. Ryan Wright, maybe arguably the biggest play of the game, drawing the roughing or running into the punter penalty when the Vikings were really backed up, and I think the crowd was kind of in hushed tones at that point, which led to a touchdown, to Thielen's touchdown, and then, of course, the return by Kane as well.
Yeah, I mean, he should get an Academy Award for that because he tried it twice. The first time it worked, second time, same thing. Somebody just touched him, and he fell on the ground and acted like a soccer player, or football for those, overseas. But he sold it, and I think that was a big play. But at the same time, I think you forgot the snaps, the holds. Like, there was no real issues in special teams where years past it's like, oh my God, snap over his head, or a little bit to the right, he's able to get blocked. Nwangwu, the CJ Ham, maybe possible hold. Hey, it wasn't egregious, so they let it go. They've been saying he's going to do this. This is 3 now in 2 years. His kid, now again, this is jumping out there, but Cordell Patterson only has 9. So this kid can possibly, the way he runs, the way they block, it's a huge block. But I was down there at that part. I don't know why I went down there, but I was down there for that stretch. And the minute the defense got scored on, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, they grabbed their helmets and they're walking around sulking a little bit, but I'm pissed off, I'm about to go. And then Nwangwu does this, and everybody's mood changes. So he not only helped, push the team forward, he changed the mood of that entire sideline. The entire sideline was like, oh, okay, we got this. And I think that's why he deserved the game ball.
We have a lot more to dissect with this game, but Pete Burcich, fans are already looking ahead. And you don't have to look too far ahead because their next opponent will be on Fox 9 today. The Jets will be playing the Bears. So let's talk about the next 4 games. on paper not looking as ominous as the previous four. Jets at Lions versus the Colts here. That's kind of a weird team right now. And then the New York Giants, who lost to Dallas. Your thoughts on the next four, in particular, starting with the Jets next Sunday?
Well, with the Jets, you're facing another very, very good defense, very athletic defense. It's going to be very interesting to see how their offense looks today. With the new quarterback situation. So they've got a lot of changes all throughout the. Up and top and down. And we saw this 3-3 really pitchers duel that they faced there against New England the week before. Detroit, if they'd only get coached and if they only had the play calls like they were a good team, they take some crazy, risky, and do some really odd things. But the Detroit, they're struggling defensively, but offensively, they're still a very viable, solid, I think football team. The Colts, we'll see how long the change at head coach makes. When they change a head coach, everybody perks up, right? Because they're like, okay, coach got fired, we're next, right? Is the GM going to go? Because we're all part of this thing. So it'll be interesting to see how I'm glad we have them at home. I think they play the Colts themselves play much better at home than they do on the road. And so, those three games right there, 2-1. We'll get to this later, but 2-1. Yeah. I think is very reasonable.
Keeping in mind that 3 of those next 4 games are at home, which is a big advantage considering that, they could potentially, Don, they could lock up this division, I think, next week.
Yeah, everyone's saying like as early as December 4th if things fall their way, So December's going to be the month. They got the champagne on ice, but they're playing it cool, right? They won't want to be found out quite yet, they say.
No, there's so much more at stake here than just winning their division, which they're running away with, Ron Johnson.
Yeah, if the Packers lose, the Bears lose, and then they turn around and beat the Jets, yeah, it is theirs because everybody else, there's no way they can get to 10 wins, and so it would be their division. But that's not what this is about. Winning the NFC North was never the plan for Kevin O'Connell. He's made that comment before. The other players have done it. They're looking at the Eagles. They want to get the Eagles back. They don't know if it's the NFC Championship game, when it could possibly happen. Tom Brady might beat the Eagles in the playoffs and help them out. So I think that's the key. This is not about the NFC North. This is about winning a championship. This is the reason why they got rid of their old head coach, brought a new head coach in, changed the culture, all this. They know what's in front of them at 10-2 if they beat the Jets. Nobody expected them to be here. And I think that's the key is now teams, they went from the hunted to the hunter, and now they're back to the hunted again because they're like, wait a minute, they're right back at 9-2.
Well, at least for today, all of us can just exhale, enjoy a lot of football, kick back, get rid of that turkey hangover, and enjoy some great football. Speaking of turkey, the Vikings were very active in the community this past weekend as well. The food drive, serving food to the community. We'll have that story coming up next year on Vikings Game Day Live.
Welcome back to Vikings Game Day Live, presented by Luther Auto and Mystic Lake.
I hope y'all food was as good as mine. Best believe I'm about to go get on them leftovers. Let's get it, SKOL Vikes!
Yeah, the John Madden tradition continued on the field afterwards as Patrick Peterson, Harrison Phillips, and others, Justin Jefferson, of course, enjoying the fruits of their labor. Although, Don, I think Adam Thielen spit out the turkey, so it was a little dry. But what a moment. It did bring back a lot of memories, I think, for any football fan, of course, who's long watched John Madden and the tradition of Thanksgiving Day games over the years on the network. Well, the Vikings win the game over the New England Patriots, but there were some huge plays in there. And who better than Pete Bursich and Ron Johnson to break some of those down, especially when it comes to JJ, as the guy up on the booth PA loves to call him. Guys?
Nah, I mean, we're going to get a chance to take a look at a couple of plays that Justin Jefferson was able to make. And, you know, I think one of the things, Ron, is you're playing a defense, at least a defense that came in here statistically that was very, very solid. You've got a head coach in Bill Belichick who always likes to make an offense left-handed, but he wasn't really able to stop JJ on Thursday night.
Yeah, and the key for that is, you'll see it here, Adam Thielen at the bottom has an out, Justin Jefferson has an out and up. But the fact that Kirk Cousins throws it before Justin breaks doesn't allow McCourty to get over there early enough. He does make the hit on him, but he holds onto the ball. You know that. Yeah. Anytime if I'm a receiver, I want to be able to catch my body. But you'll see the slight nod here, creates a little bit of space, top of the numbers, exactly where he should be, stacks the DB, and he knows the hit's coming. You can see him body catch it, knowing I'm going to take a hit. But I just love the way Kirk Cousins puts it there, because as you put it in a couple film studies, Kirk Cousins is seeing the field better than he's seen it in the past.
Yeah, he is. He's unbelievably accurate. And I think with Jefferson, the key, though, is that he worked himself outside. He continued to work himself away from the safety. And I remember when I saw that play, he put his arms up so late. Yeah. He didn't let McCourty know that ball was in the air and coming over his shoulder. It was very, very reminiscent of a guy named Randy Moss that we got a chance to see play quite a bit.
Yeah, he always talks about late hands, and when you think about the late hands, that is the key. You do not want the DB to know. The corner had no idea. I don't think anybody thought Kirk was going to throw it there, because the safe throw would have been to the tight end or Adam Thielen, who had one-on-one. Right. But that's just Kevin O'Connell telling Kirk, hey, if we get this look, stick it in there. That's that zone hole throw where you know the safety has a long way to go. And as a receiver, I was taught, hey, you're going to take this hit, so you might as well catch it anyway. Right. But if you drop it, it's going to hurt, and you got to walk 25 yards back to the huddle. And then we're going to look at the Nwangwu kickoff return. Right. I think this is another big play when you think about the kickoff return. Special teams, you were a huge special teams guy. But this right here for an offense, this feels good to see your points on the board and you don't have to put your helmet on.
It was the first time all season that we've seen a kicker in Nick Folk who couldn't get the ball out of the back of the end zone consistently. So we had plenty of chances at this. The thing I liked most about this is, number one, they had returned a kick to pass to around midfield. So this was our special teams unit responding. And the other kicks that he had run really up from the 20 and 25, they were all up the middle, up the middle, up the middle. And on this return, he started up the middle, drew everybody there, and then busted it to the outside. So, yeah, once this kid gets in the open, he's so dangerous. And it's not just, again, he's not just getting the ball out to the 50. He's taking it to the house, and this was a huge answer. Our time of possession, our offense was dominating this game time of possession-wise. This one kind of balanced it up because the defense had to go back out there. But just to answer, when things don't go your way, how do you respond? I thought this was an unbelievable answer, and I think the special teams unit outside of the PAT this year has been unbelievable in doing that.
And it is a simple counter. You see the counter, he goes in, he sets it up perfectly, the wall's set up. I love the fact that everybody on Twitter was saying C.J. Ham might have helped. I've never seen that angle. That's not even close to a hold. That's what a block looks like. He finished the block and pushed the guy. So for all you Twitter people saying it was a hold, it was not a hold. Let it go. Just let it go. Go have some turkey. It wasn't a hold. That's a touchdown. And back to Mark Rosen over at the desk.
Ron, don't start responding to Twitter people now. Come on, man. You know better.
I didn't roll the boat or anything like that. I didn't say Wisconsin, you guys suck. I didn't do that this morning. No, I'm not going to do that. That's why I'm wearing the maroon ascot. Yeah. I got the M in the handkerchief. I mean, hey, I'm not going to. Listen, I'm not going to bash Badgers today.
We all love a fired up Ron Johnson, especially after rolling the boat yesterday against Wisconsin. No doubt about it. I think going back to Denny Green, the Vikings have been so involved in the community for so long, but this was a special weekend for obvious reasons with Thanksgiving weekend, and the Vikings giving back to the community, starting with Kirk Cousins and his wife at the St. Paul Salvation Army. So we have some stories about what the Vikings did involving the community this past couple days.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to come to the Salvation Army here in St. Paul and just give of our time and hopefully put a smile on some people's faces. It's a group effort. My wife's on the stuffing, I'm on the green bean casserole, Caitlin Thielen's on the mashed potatoes, so it's fun to have everybody here.
I was gravy extraordinaire. It was amazing. Not a lot of people wanted gravy, which kind of concerns me a little bit because I put gravy on almost everything. So I wonder if I'm doing something wrong, but I think it's important to give back. And I think just being out in the community, just kind of engaging with the fans, so to speak, and I just think it's awesome.
This is exciting. I mean, to see the community come together, and especially to see the Viking that's here, that's showing their care for the community, to support the community.
I really appreciate the Vikings sending out all the volunteer opportunities, and I love to look through them and see what works with our schedule, and this one just shot out to me. We absolutely love Thanksgiving. We love family and togetherness, and just thought, what a great way. On Tuesday, normally we have date night, so we just still have our babysitter, and this is our date, and I just absolutely love it.
You know, today is a great example of what I think we want to ultimately try to accomplish as an organization. How do we leverage this amazing platform to positively impact the community? We were able to do it with our great partners at United Health Group, and we came together and we were able to extend meals to families in need in the holiday season. So it was just, I think, just a terrific example of everything we want to accomplish here at the Vikings.
You want another turkey? Okay, bet. Oh, you gonna eat good, huh? I got you. You have a nice day. It's a lot to smile about. And I mean, this is a special moment, giving back, loading 75 turkeys in the van. I mean, it's just a special day. I love Thanksgiving. It's about being with family, being with the ones you love, and to sit here and give back is very special to me.
What better way to give back to the community than at Thanksgiving? So thank you for being such an important part of our community and for being a part of this wonderful event today.
You got the golden ticket. You got groceries for a whole year. God bless you.
You know, once we retire and stuff, you know, this is a way we can come back and use our muscles for something good. So, but no, it's a lot of fun. I mean, seriously, I've been doing this with the Minnesota Vikings for years, and it's just incredible that they give back to the community. So they have this organization like the Legends to go back and just do a lot of charity work. So. Well, we just had a truck that came in for 100 turkeys, so it's such an amazing feeling, right? Just to be here. As you can see behind me, I'm not sure if you can see, there's so many volunteers here from United Healthcare and from the Minnesota Vikings and from the Minnesota Legends, and we're just having a blast right now. We got a DJ. What?
It was great to see the families come through and reach out, right, and recognize they need some help, but then as the Vikings and alongside United Health Group, be able to help them and extend meals for the holidays.
Congrats to all, and I can't imagine getting a turkey from Justin Jefferson with that $1 million smile on his face. And the kid going, wait, what?
You want another one? Here you
want
go.
Another one? Take another one.
Love it.
Good going by all, that's for sure. Well, there are a full slate of games, of course, of the National Football League today and tonight, so we're going to break down a few of them right now on our Fox Bet. And this is always a fun segment. Super Six, we're going to break down a couple of games, guys. First, we're going to start about, I like this matchup. the high-charging Cincinnati Bengals against the Tennessee Titans and their ground game with Derrick Henry. Don, who do you like in that one?
You know, I don't know why, but I'm going with Joe Burrow. I'm going with the Bengals. I know people are like, what? I know the Titans they're fierce, but I don't know. I just really love how Joe Burrow's been playing, and so he's got the gusto, and that was my gut feeling.
Yeah, Vegas has Bengals +1. I'm going to go Titans +3. I just think Derrick Henry in that ground game, this time of year, this is when he gets going.
Tough playoff team, especially in these conditions as we get into the winter months. That is for sure. The next one, you'll see this one on Fox 9 today. The Bears and the team the Vikings play next week, the New York Jets. Pete Bursich, your thoughts initially on this one. What do you get with the Jets? Who's their quarterback? It's not Willie Joe Namath anymore. Who is it?
I don't even know. I haven't even looked into it.
That's
yeah,
the Great White Hope, they're calling him.
Yeah, but the Jets are all about their defense, and I think with whether or not Justin Fields is going to play, that's a big if. He makes that Bears offense go. So a lot of folks, I think, are gonna bet the under on this one. But I do think the Jets will find a way to come through and and win this football game.
Meanwhile, the LA Rams, I think they won the Super Bowl last year. Matthew Stafford apparently could be out for the rest of the year. They have a daunting task, Ron Johnson, playing the Chiefs, I believe, in Kansas City. Huge underdogs late this afternoon.
Yeah, 15.5-point underdogs. So I'm going to go Chiefs +13.
Yeah, I can't deny that, can you?
I have Chiefs by 14.
My goodness. Wow. Well, a lot to watch tonight. And, of course, the Packers play tonight against the Eagles in Philadelphia as well. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened to the Dallas Cowboys. I think in the context of what the Vikings have to do to shore up their defense, because there were still issues the other night. Let's not disguise those. We'll talk about that coming up next.
in here.
You're watching Vikings Game Day Live, presented by Luther Auto and Mystic Lake.
I just know we had a good week of preparation and it didn't translate to us playing our style of football in any way, shape, or form. I thought we were sloppy. I thought there were too many penalties. The early turnover.
It's certainly a disappointing outcome, and what I've learned in this league in my years is they all count one, and the point differential doesn't end up becoming a thing that sticks with it, but the loss or the win does. And so, we've got to find a way moving forward to get wins and play much better than we did tonight.
Prophetic words from Kirk Cousins. They absolutely found a way to play better football on Thursday night. Mark Rosen back with Don Mitchell and Ron Johnson. But the national perspective on this Vikings team, for losing 40-3, was here we go again. I mean, they got a nice record. They're not going anywhere in the postseason. Did that narrative change at all based on what you've seen, not just with the Dallas game, but more importantly moving forward? And we talked during the commercial break, kudos to the offensive line without Christian Darrisaw and how they protected Kirk Cousins on Thursday night.
Yeah, it was night and day from the game. Kurt was running for his life basically against Dallas, and the protection was tremendous against the Patriots. But what I really like, you talk about the national perspective. The Vikings locker room doesn't care about the national perspective, but I think all in all, people are like, whoa. A winning record. Oh, look how they beat the Patriots, going toe-to-toe with them, being smart. People are saying it's one of the dumbest Belichick coach teams they've ever seen, but I think the Vikings show that they can hang with the best in the league. I think they proved that.
Ron, about the offensive line, Don said, we're expecting some people back, but they did play awfully well. Micah Parsons destroyed them. They got behind the 8 ball early, and they just never recovered. They couldn't get the ground game going. Yep. You've been through this a lot, where a team can have a game not like that, but they did have one like that, and able to change the narrative in 4 days.
You need a game like that. You need to get punched in your mouth every once in a while so you know you're in a fight. Like, I think a lot of times when you beat people up, and then all of a sudden you get into an actual fight with a bully, you have to think about how you attack. Mike Tyson said that everybody walked into the ring against Mike Tyson, they had a plan until they got punched in the mouth, and they was like, wait a minute, this dude's for real. And so that's what the Vikings found. They ran into Mike Tyson. The Dallas Cowboys have the best, NFL history, 42 sacks within a 10-game span. That's history. That is the best pass rush in NFL history. Michael Parsons, one-on-one, I don't care who it is, you don't do it. Unless it's Trent Williams, you don't do it. And so I think Kevin O'Connell said that. He learned. Justin Jefferson said, every time I came out my break, Kirk was on the ground. You left him in the pocket. So what happened? He rolls out. You do a double reverse to keep the defense honest. You do some quick game to make sure the defense they can't just rush. They have to get their hands up. So I think that was it. They learned a ton from getting punched in the mouth.
And Pete Burcich, did the Vikings learn the 1-2 punch that they had with Zeke and Pollard was devastating as well. And Belichick, I'm sure, in some sense, tried to duplicate that without the talent level that he has on that football team. Will other teams try to be the copycat league?
I think the most disappointing part of that loss was we just never did anything to take Dallas out of their game plan or what they do well. You look at the average third down in that game for the Minnesota Vikings offense, it was about 3rd and 12. So when it's 3rd and 12 defensively, you're pinning your ears back. You're not worried about the quarterback scrambling. You're just getting north and south, and they're, like Ron said, they're an unbelievably good pass rush team. So we just let them do what they do best. Now you take a look at what we did against the Patriots. We were able to change those things. Those third downs were a lot shorter. The run, the pass. I mean, we didn't run the ball great. The numbers weren't great against Patriots. But again, they were viable to open up play action, to do some other things. You weren't looking at 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20 like you were on Thursday night. Defensively, that's where my concern is. I think in Dallas we lacked physicality. We really lacked physicality, especially in the running game. They averaged almost 7 yards per play, 458 yards of total offense. And then you start looking in the New England game, 6 of their first 7 drives they scored on. Mac Jones had been struggling mightily, and he was over 80% completion percentage going into the third quarter. So the turnovers and the sacks and all those things kind of just disappeared, and that's the part that you get concerned about, because this team was living on sacks and turnovers. They kind of disappeared, all throughout the Dallas game. But at the end of the Patriots game, they came up with 3 stops on 3 drives that they needed to. So hopefully that trend will continue. You get Dalvin Tomlinson back. You figure out who's going to be our corner. That stability, I hope, will help. But a step in the right direction, especially offensively.
Yeah, because the lack of pass rush and the middle of that field, again, wide open almost time after time after time until the end of the game, which has to be concerning when they're looking at film leading up to not just the Jets game, but the rest of the season as other teams break down the Vikings defense as well. So we'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the standings involved. This is always fun to do. It's scoreboard watching, division leaders in the NFC and the battle for the #1 seed. We mentioned, guys, the Eagles host the Green Bay Packers tonight. And Dawn, do you dare say we're rooting for the
I think you have to, right? If the eye is on the prize, right, to get the #1 seed, so you kind of have to.
Yeah, I think you do. I mean, is Aaron Rodgers capable of it, though, Ron Johnson?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is capable of anything. I mean, clearly this dude is still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He just doesn't have the weapons. Him and Devontae Adams, that divorce was the worst possible situation for both of them. But you never can doubt Aaron Rodgers, what he can do by himself. Sometimes he can will a team to win. Christian Watson's gotten it going finally. And you're going to see a run game tonight that they're going to try to because you can't drop back against the Eagles. And so I think that's what they're going to say. We have to hit them in the mouth with our run game. We're physical. Our offensive line is physical. But the key is if the Eagles get up, do the Packers just quit? Because that's what they've been doing. It looks like in certain points of games, they've just given up.
And Pete, we talk about other threats in the NFC. I mean, Tom Brady isn't going away yet. He's there. And the team that everyone's kind of jumping on right now is the San Francisco 49ers. How concerned about are you come playoff time? Is that the team that you can remember when the Vikings went to Santa Clara a few years ago? They handed the Vikings their lunch in that game. Jimmy Garoppolo seemingly has found his mark with the 49ers.
Yeah, he has. He has some, he has some nice weapons in the trade that they made for McCaffrey. You have Deebo Samuel, so you have some talent. They have a very physical defense. The main thing I think is home field advantage. Even though it really, if you look at playoffs over the last couple years, home field hasn't meant as much as it has in the past. But for the Vikings to stay here and be able to play either San Francisco or Philadelphia, I mean, that's going to be a huge advantage. The crazy part is you might see a Dallas Cowboy team have to travel to Tampa Bay in the first round because they didn't win their division. You're going to go back into that whole conversation, which should go by record, not by division, which I disagree with. I think it's all about, I think the division winners should host a home game. But, San Francisco, they have some games to win. I think Garoppolo is a good quarterback, not a great one. He'll throw the ball all day long in between the hash marks, but you never see him make those strong arm, deep outside or deep comeback type throws. So you just really have to control the middle of the field against them. We'll see. I mean, they're all really good football teams, and you want to be hot in December. I think in this day and age, getting the bye isn't the advantage that it used to be in the first round, and now you really have to be hot and be playing well going into December.
And what a fun discussion to have. The fact that the Vikings are 9-2 and we're having that discussion right now, as opposed to saying, let's look ahead to next year's draft right now. So that's the way that works. It's 9-2. A lot more to talk about here on Vikings Game Day Live, leading up to the Bears and the Jets here on Fox 9 as well. Stay with us.
You're watching Vikings Game Day Live, presented by Luther Auto and Mystic Lake.
That's a really good football team over there. Yep. That's going to be a grind every single time you play them, but you trusted in each other, next snap mentality, and you guys got it done. Give it up for yourselves.
On the field, 3rd and 2.
You know, one thing we were just talking about during commercial break, Don, you brought up a really good point, how riveted the entire team is, locked into Kevin O'Connell's eyes and voice when he's talking and addressing the team after a game like that.
And, you know, even for me, too, they're all listening to him. They're all in it. They're all supporting each other, and I love them. Like, yeah, after how many years of doing this, like run-of-the-mill, whatever, I'm like, I can't wait to see what the post-game speech is about. Just to see the guys' reactions, just to see how Kevin handles it, and he doesn't forget a single person who's done something well.
And Ron, you know, the thing is, you played at a high level, the college, pros. Sometimes you think at pro football, it's kind of jaded. Listen, where's my check? How am I doing? What do you sense from watching that? Because it's more like a high school or a college rah-rah type of thing at the end of the game, and how players respond to that.
Yeah, no, it is. So we used to joke about that. Guys that didn't do anything all week and then they got a check, we'd say they're stealing. So you do have guys like that walk to a locker room, they do absolutely nothing all week. This is not that team. You don't have a bunch of guys not working hard, from, you know, the backup quarterbacks to the kickers to everybody is dialed into this team. But the thing is, a locker room can change on the field. When you are getting along off the field, you can get through a lot of crap on the field. And that's the big difference, is they're getting along off the field and the coaches are feeding into it. And that's the key. I remember we went to the playoffs as a Raven. That was one of the big things. The fact that our locker room, we had created like this jungle atmosphere where we protected each other. You know, each position group would fight other position groups as a joke, but, you know, just kind of like we had a jungle mentality. And Rex Ryan, I remember, walked into our locker room and everybody attacked him. It was like the entire locker room attacked Rex Ryan as a joke, but we put him in the clothes hamper, pushed him out to the parking lot. And that was the year we went to the playoffs. And so that's the difference, is when you have a group of guys working together, playing hard together, trusting their coach. If they do make a mistake, nothing's going to go bad. Like, Kirk can throw an interception, and he knows he's not going to get MF'd when he comes off the field. He knows Kevin O'Connell's going to help him through the progressions and what's wrong.
And Pete Bursich, keeping this team on an even keel, as Kirk Cousins talked about even after the Dallas game, is a key, because you got the Jets here next week. You know, and that's a team that's really good defense. They're still above 500, a winning record. But the Vikings have been relatively healthy until late. What do you look at? Is that potentially the big key moving forward to December and January football, is getting this team as healthy as possible in those key positions, especially on defense?
Yeah, I believe so. I think the loss of Dalvin Tomlinson over the last couple of weeks has been a huge thing. And I think we need, obviously, some consistency at corner. But, you know, whoever that person is going to be, you need to have that, you know, that corner, Cameron Dantzler, Caleb Evans, whoever that is, in that spot, so these guys in the back end can play together for a while and help on that communication. But, you know, I agree with Ron when you talk about Coach O'Connell. Most great head coaches are gifted speakers, number one, but they're motivators. And by motivating, I don't mean they create it out of thin air. They know how to address each and every individual player and poke them and say, I know this, talking this way to this guy is going to motivate him, and this guy, you know, and I think, you know, Kevin can do that. The players believe in what he says. Right? He's not just spewing. You can't just say, you know, we're going to win these close football games, and then all of a sudden you go out and do it. The things that he has been telling them have come to fruition, so they have that faith. They know that if they listen and do what he is asking of them, they will play better and they will have success. And so that's what's been created in really, let's face it, a pretty short period of time.
It's all about leadership. This is one of my favorite segments that the Vikings have done over the years. The Vikings Veteran Voyage, they've honored 5 veterans, but bringing them out to Washington, D.C., and they were honored there as well in recent times. And take a look at that. It's just a real heartwarming story.
We got a really special trip we're calling our Veterans Voyage. To honor veterans, we're going to bring 5 veterans. So why don't we come up here real quick, our 5 veterans.
Had the great opportunity to come out with the Vikings for the Hy-Vee's Vet Voyage out to Washington, D.C. To see some of the monuments, the Pentagon, some other great things in Washington, D.C., and watch the Vikings take on the Commanders with some select vets that the Vikings brought out on this wonderful trip.
The World War II memorial is my dad fought in World War II. And I was awed by the whole thing. It was awe-inspiring.
Well, this is where it's most beautiful. because absolutely a lot of our action and career was taking place at night. So, you know, it's really reminiscent of that.
When you serve, you have this deep connection with men and women who have served before you, served with you, and serve after you.
Now, after serving over 20 years, looking back and reflecting upon the lives I touched as a soldier, as a father, it's pretty amazing that knowing that I helped shape America and I helped fought for its freedom.
Please welcome to the field these Minnesota veterans. And Hy-Vee has one more surprise. Veterans, you will be receiving free groceries for 1 year. On behalf of Hy-Vee and the Minnesota Vikings, thank you for your service.
Band of brothers indeed. We'll be back with Sink or Sail right after this. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Vikings Game Day Live, presented by Luther Auto and Mystic Lake.
And welcome back. Apparently someone absconded with the rest of our sink or sail sign, so we're down to 1, but we can still handle it, I think, guys, all right? Here's our first one. The Vikings will go 2-1 the next 3 games. I'm going sail on that. I mean, they got the Jets, they got Indy, and they have the
Lions.
The Lions. Come on. I mean, 2-1. Absolutely.
Well, I'm only thinking because I think they can go 3-0. How about that?
You're
How
really
about
being
that?
optimistic.
There you go.
See, I never understand those questions. It should be 2-1 or better.
Or
Two
better. I think
wins.
it's
Right, or better. All right,
Yeah,
then
so I'm gonna
then
sell that.
Then
Yeah,
I'm
that's
selling
easy.
if it's or better.
I would stick with the sale. I mean,
All right.
you have 2 of those games at home. It's going to have to happen. I mean, the rest of these are in the back of your limo.
Okay.
Yes.
But never forget, they could lose to the Lions.
They could.
Yeah, they could. Dan Campbell at home.
The Vikings will hold the Jets to under 17 points. And given what the quarterback situation is, we'll get a pretty good indicator what the Jets are. I'm going to say sail on that. I don't see the Jets scoring that many points, even though the Vikings defense has question marks that they have to get corrected in a week. I'd like the Vikings to hold them 17 or under.
Yeah, I'm sailing it too. The same thing. Was it Mr. White? Right?
Where
Mr.
he
White?
is.
There you go.
I feel like they could put up 18 points. I think this Vikings team, when you look at the defense and the offense, the way the offense just says, I don't care how many they score, we're going to score more. I feel like this can be a game where it's like 37 to like 20.
Yeah.
Like I feel like this team, this offense can put up points, and the Jets is the team to do it against.
Yeah, I think they can. I think the Jets they lack some consistency in the offensive line. I think if they're one-handed, you got to shut down their running game, which you can schematically do a lot more when you're not afraid about guys getting behind you and throwing the ball deep. So I think they'll keep them to 17 or less.
I like this discussion. Will the Vikings get the number 2 seed? I'll start with you, Pete.
I think right now the way it looks, yes. I think that'll be it, and it's going to, looking ahead, because I can do that, it's going to just turn my stomach to have to go back to Philly. You know what I mean? For a possible NFC Championship game. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I don't think the bye really gives you anything anymore, except for maybe that home field advantage. And hopefully Philly could lose along the way, but, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm going to sell that. I think they, number 2, I said that to Pete. The teams that need to jump them would be the Bucks or the 49ers. They both have to go like 6-1 or 5-2 down the stretch. The Vikings win 3 games is theirs. I also think the Bucks can go over to Philly and the Cowboys and beat the Eagles. So that might be the matchup
They
to watch.
seem to be leaking oil a little bit. We'll see. They're not
NFC
playing.
before the NFC Championship game, I think one of those 2 teams, if it falls the right way, Tom Brady versus the Eagles, I wouldn't put it past them.
Well, I'm going to out you a little bit because in the break you said, well, if he goes undefeated after the Giselle divorce, right? So I'm going to sell it as well. Everything that you guys said holds true too, but the caveat is if the Vikings continue to be the team that we saw against the Patriots, then yes, indeed.
Finish with our last minute here. Is Seattle the best potential opponent for the Vikings, the playoff opponent in the first time? I'd say yes. I would absolutely sail that. I think that the Vikings can beat them here, even though Seattle's had their number here at times.
We've always done well against the Seahawks here.
Okay, you have to bring that up.
Thanks to you and your stadium, Rob.
Well, at least it's not going to be cold. It won't be -8 outside. Hopefully it won't come down to a kick because the kicker has been...
It's loud though there.
Well, a reminder, we have the Bears and the Jets coming up here, right here on Fox 9. That's Fox NFL Sunday coming up next. We'll wrap it up with they got the Rams and the Chiefs later on today, and then Sports Now at 10:35. So thank you for joining Vikings Game Day Live. We'll see you again next week from US Bank Stadium. Thanks for watching.